Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Adita Karkera, Chief Data Officer for Deloitte's Government and Public Services. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Carin Quiroga, Chief Data Officer for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Carin, welcome.
Thank you so much, Adita. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Corinna, we're really excited to have you on the episode today, and there's so much to talk about. But before we dig deep into some of your current initiatives, it would be lovely if you could share with the audience a little bit about your background. I know you've been in the IT industry for a while, and I think it would be great to hear how your journey has transpired over the years from IT to becoming today the CDO for ICE.
Sure, absolutely. In the beginning, I didn't think I would be into the IT field. I was actually going to school to be a dolphin trainer. But it just happened that this is the path that took me, and I went and started out in the IT field as, one of my first jobs. And I was watching a printer, and then I started, building computers. Then I got into networking and running cables, and then building systems. And it kind of all led to where I am today, it's really exciting, but it's also cool to look back and see where my journey and everything that I've done so far has brought me to here I am today. So within the federal government, I spent around, I think, 11 years at CBP, and then I've been over here at ICE. Started out as a branch chief under a software delivery division, and I was there for 1 year, and then I became CDO, and I've been the chief data officer of ICE for 2 years now.
Well, what a journey. And by the way, I love your background, and I'm sure we'll get into it soon here, but I can't wait to talk more about the data empowerment program that your background talks about. But so you were appointed as the CDO a couple of years ago, Corinne. And so tell us a little bit about where the role of the CDO is situated within ICE today. And I ask you that because as I talk to other CDOs in federal government, I always get a different answer. The situation of where the CDO is located within an organization always changes. So I'm curious, how is that for you? And if you could also elaborate just a little bit about what your role and responsibilities are today.
When ICE first appointed a CDO, it was a couple years ago, prior to me becoming the CDO, and that was outside of the OCIO office, but it was still in the M&A role, and it was tied to privacy and FOIA. And then the decision was made around 2 years ago to move it within the Chief Information Office. So I reside under the Chief Information Officer, and I heard the same thing like you. It's some people say it should be in CIO, some people says it should be outside. And I've done, like, when I first became CDO, I did a lot of research trying to understand that as well in the role. And like even though I am in the OCIO office, which I think is a great place because data and technology go so much hand in hand, I also do know that my role and responsibility is also to the business. And so I really try to kind of walk that line, but then also like be as a person who can facilitate the two and bring them together. And so I think it's a really great place, an exciting place to be. And so far that's where I've been, and like just focusing on the excitement around data and getting people excited has been kind of like what I've been doing so far.
I can just sense that excitement and that passion in your voice, Corinne, on wanting to do everything around data at the organization. But so 2 years into your role as CDO at ICE, and having talked to you before and during a prep session, I know you've accomplished a lot in the 2 years that you've been in this role. You recently also published your data strategy. So if you don't mind, maybe you could talk a little bit about your journey with the data strategy, how you started off with it, what your process looked like, and how are things going today?
So yeah, we initially, when I became chief data officer, we really wanted to focus on becoming an action-oriented office and really tackling the issues and the gaps that we had within data versus admiring the problem. And so we did a lot of work and interviews with different stakeholders and leaders within ICE and DHS, because we really wanted to identify what their challenges were and what the gaps were. And so with that, we created the IT data modernization roadmap, and we created a framework which I love, which is collect, automate, and use. And we just really felt to become a data-driven organization, we needed to ensure that we were collecting the right data at the right time, stop collecting data that we didn't need or didn't use, and then really drive automation and then use that data to increase transparency and make decisions with. And so from that, we identified the gaps, and then we kind of built off of our roadmap to create the strategy. And we wanted the strategy to be measurable and to ensure that we were being held accountable. We wanted to make sure it was quality driven, mission focused, interconnected, and forward leaning. So we do have 4 goals within our strategy, which was secure. We want to always make sure that the data is protected and kept in a secure manner. Also accessible. That's a really big one for us. Um, it gets to culture, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But just making sure that that people have access to the data, because in order to become a data-driven organization, they need to be able to get access to the data when they need it. And then another goal was to be connected. This is all about staying connected with our community, with our stakeholders, the public, with each other. So we're really ensuring that we're acting as an agency and our data is looked at as a whole. So the connect is really important for our partnerships. And then last is reliable. There's nothing like having data that's old and making decisions off of that. So we're really standing behind, and we use it throughout our everything we're doing is just ensuring we're using timely data, ensuring we're using data that's from the as close to the source of creation as possible. So it's really exciting. I was very excited to get the strategy out, and hopefully everybody else is excited too. And it drives us every day, so we're really excited about it.
Corinne, I cannot say enough about how much I appreciate your comments on, how you managed data journey, starting from taking input from your stakeholders, building upon that, and then creating a strategy that is, like you said, measurable and accountable. Because I have seen so many instances of data strategies being created for organizations, but then they're not measurable. There are no KPIs to see the progress, and then it's hard to make them actionable. So the last thing we want is having a strategy on paper and not being able to execute it. So it sounds like you and your team have done a tremendous effort to ensure not only creating a strategy, but also operationalizing it. Well, Corinne, I know you have had an opportunity to work on multiple projects and driving data all through the organization. But is there maybe 1 or 2 specific data initiatives that you would want to go into details of and share with our audience?
Yeah, sure. The one that I'm actually the most excited about, because it brings a lot of fun to it, is it goes along with our data exchange and sharing. One of the capability gaps that we identified in our roadmap was data exchange and sharing, and really identifying a better way to make sure that we have the data, we're able to exchange it and share it, and people can get access to the data. So we looked at all the parts to kind of accomplish that, and one of the areas is our data catalog. We wanted to ensure we had a data catalog, but I didn't want to just have a data catalog. So we created something called the data bodega, and it's fun to say. And again, back to bringing attention and excitement to data. It's a place for people to go, and we're still building it, and we're working on it. We're in the phase 2 of the phase 3. But we're really trying to create a place, a centralized location where everybody can go to know how to get the data, where to get the data from. It can create the APIs that they can connect if they're technical, or even possibly download the data so they can do their own analytics. And we put a lot of thought into it. So it has the data dictionaries. And so our goal is to be like one centralized place. And it's not a data warehouse. We're not collecting all the data, but we're just letting people know where they can go to find the data and how to get access to the data. So I'm so excited about it. We're creating crazy colors, just like my data empowerment program, opposite side of the spectrum of the rainbow, but we're still, coming up with fun names, and it's really exciting and fun to be able to accomplish that. So hopefully it'll be grand, and we'll get that out and complete it within the next probably about 6 months to a year, where it's really getting going. So we're excited.
Corinne, we could keep talking about this all day long, but thank you so much for this time. And thank you for the work you're doing for our community around the women in data space. We appreciate you and your leadership. And I look forward to talking to you soon in maybe a few months and catching up with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited. And it was a pleasure to talk to you today.